afternoon, everyone. I am Rochelle Joyce Morgia, and today I am going to describe or summarize the given selections of the author and tell something about their piece that being selected from our teacher and and on the subject of literature 1, and this is to convert the lesson into a video presentation, and this is all about the modern fantasy. So first, let me introduce you what is modern fantasy. So when we say modern fantasy, it is a literary genre that characterized by exotic locales, paranormal elements, and mythic origins. However, this modern fantasy can be also equated with paranormal fantasy due to the frequency of paranormal characters such as werewolves, vampires, wizards, fairies, dwarves, and many more. So, let's proceed to the deep line of this lesson. So, as you can see, this is the lesson that we will be tackling today. And the first we have is the number one, we have the a Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and this a Christmas Carol in propose being a ghost story of a Christmas that commonly known as A Christmas Carol, and one of the 19th century novella by Charles Dickens that first published in London by Chapman and Hall in 1843 and illustrated by John Leech, and recounts the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, an elder Mr. who is visited by the ghost of his former business partner, who is named Jacob Marley, and the spirits of the Christmas past, present, and yet to come. So, in this process, Scrooge is transformed into a kinder, gentler man. So, Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol during a period when the British were exploring and re-evaluating the past Christmas tradition, including carols and newer costumes such as cards and Christmas trees. And he was influenced by the experience of his own youth and by the Christmas stories of other authors, including Washington Irving and Douglas Jerrold. And the story revolves around the life of Scrooge, the character who lives in willful ignorance of the needs of those around with him. He doesn't believe in it his responsibility to help others until he is visited by the three ghosts who help him change his way, and Scrooge then reforms, making significant differences in the lives of those around with him through his newfound generosity. So the book is divided into a 5 chapters, which Dickens titled staves. So the stave 1, we have a Christmas Carol opens on a bleak, called Christmas Eve in London, the 7 years after the death of Ebenezer Scrooge business partner named Jacob Marley. And the stave 2, we have the first spirit, the ghost of Christmas past, takes Scrooge to Christmas scenes of Scrooge's boyhood, reminding him of a time when he was more innocent. And the stave 3, we have the second spirit, the ghost of Christmas present, that takes Scrooge to the joyous market with people buying the makings of Christmas dinner and to celebrations of Christmas in a miner's cottage and in a lighthouse. And the stave 4, we have the third spirit, the ghost of Christmas yet to come, shows a Scrooge of Christmas Day in the future. And lastly, we have Stave 5, the Scrooge awakens on Christmas morning, a changed man, and he makes a large donation to the charity. He rejected the previous day. He anonymously sent a large turkey to the Cratchit home for Christmas dinner and spent the afternoon at the Fred's Christmas party. So, the central character of A Christmas Carol is Ebenezer Scrooge, a miserly London-based businessman, and this story described as squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scrapping, clenching, covetous old sinner. So, the central theme of this story is the transformation of Scrooge, as we can see on the video that have given of our teacher. So the second one in modern fantasy is we have the Alice Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and Lewis Carroll piece titled Alice Adventures in Wonderland is a classic children's book, and the story revolves around the young girl named Alice as she follows the white rabbit into the fantasy of World Wonderland. There, Alice meets other strange creatures like the Hatter and the Hare, the Cheshire Cat, and the Queens of Heart. So, Lewis Carroll's iconic fantasy novel Alice in the Wonderland concerned the journey of a practical young girl into a nonsensical fantasy world in which many of the customs of real life Victorian England and mock or heightened. When a talking white rabbit rushes past girl named Alice one day, she follows him down a rabbit a hole into an enchanted land. There she meets a cast of ever stranger characters who present her with a series of extraordinary tasks, and the Cheshire Cat can disappear at will, and a talking caterpillar instructs her on the use of mushroom to change her size, and bursting with world play, the novel describes Alice's strange experiences as she traverses a world populated by the bizarre creatures. The absurdity of the story reveals a massive change in the children's literature, which up to that a point had been largely moralistic and instructive, and Carol's war in versions of traditional tales back the region of other lines of Victorian society and helped to usher in the nation of books for children as entertainment. So English author Lewis Carroll, The Alice and the Wonderland was first published in the year of 1865, valuing his privacy, a math professor and a clever man, Charles Lutwidge Dogsman, wrote under the pen name of Lewis Carroll. So Alice in Wonderland first came to the story alive as he told that three young sister or one whom was named is Alice. So the iconic fantasy novel Alice in Wonderland contains many enduring themes, including self-reliance, as Alice learned to assert herself, rules as Wonderland is a full of rules, but they are often nonsensical or cruel and have little do with good behavior and growing up, as not only does Alice get bigger and smaller physically, but she learns to cope effectively with the strangers of Wonderland. Important motifs including also the wordplay, the dreams and the inversion and the unit and the reversal of the Alice into Wonderland. So the third one in modern fantasy is we have the Bridge of Terabithia by Katherine Paterson. And this Bridge to Terabithia is a children's novel written by Katherine Peterson, about two children named Leslie and Jessie who create magical forest kingdom in their imagination. So the book was originally published in the year of 1977 by Thomas Crowell, and in 1978 it won the Newbery Medal. So, the novel was inspired by an incident during that time on August 14, 1974. Her son David's best friend, Lisa Christina Hill, died after being struck by lightning in Bethany Beach, Delaware. She was 8 years old at that time. So this story about a boy named Jesse who lives with his family in the countryside. He likes to draw and has been training all summer to be the fastest runner in school. On the other hand, we have the Berg family moves in a next door. Their daughter named Leslie. She is creative and smart and becomes Jessie classmate. And when the big day of the race in the school, uh, Jessie gets beaten by Leslie. At first, no one likes Leslie, but because they are neighbors, they become friends. And then Leslie and Jessie began to form a real friendship around an imaginary land, and they call this Terabithia. By swinging across the creek on a rope swing, they enter a world where they are king and queen and go on numerous adventures together. And it started to rain, making it unsafe to travel across the creek, but they continue to travel in Terabithia anyway. So one day, Jesse is invited to go to a museum with his music teacher that he likes and has a great time together. However, when he returns, he discovers that Leslie had died in the creek. Jesse asks his father whether Leslie is in hell, and his father assures him that she isn't. Using a large branch, Jess crosses the stream to Terabithia, where he makes a funeral wreath for Leslie. Using a scrap lumber left behind by the Burks family, Jess builds a bridge across the dry creek bed. He puts flowers in Maisbel, his sister, and leads her across the bridge and begins to play in the Terabithia with his sister Mabel as the new queen and Jess as the king. So that's how the story ends. So the fourth one in modern fantasy is we have the Chronicles of Narnia by Cleve Staples Lewis. And the Chronicles of Narnia is a series of seven children's book written by C.S. Lewis. And the book were published between the 1950 and 1956 and were partially inspired by Lewis' experience during the Second World War. So, uh, the series that included in the the Chronicles of Narnia is the Magician Nephew in the year of 1955, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in the year of 1950. We have The Horse and His Boy in the year of 1954, Prince Caspian in the 1951, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader in 1952, and The Silver Chair in the year of 1953, and The Last Battle in the year of 1956. So Clevie Staples Lewis, the author, who known by the childhood name Jack, was born in the year of 1898 in Belfast, Ireland, and Lewis had a trying childhood. And his mother passed away when he and his brother Warren or Warney were quite young, and the boys were not very close with to their father. And Lewis detested school, largely because he was not very athletic and he was frequently victimized by bullying. And Lewis first came up with the idea of the Chronicles of Narnia in the year of 1939. At the onset of World War II, during that time, a family with the children stayed with Lewis, inspiring many of the characters in his fictional novel. Lewis published the first novel in the series, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, a decade later in 1949. So, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe tells the story of four children living during the World War II who discover a magical wardrobe that transports them into a world of Narnia. So, Narnia is cursed by an evil white witch who makes every day winter. Eventually, the children helps Aslan, a lion and the leader of Narnia, defeat the witch. So, the books in Narnia series all have strong themes of Christianity as Lewis converted to Christianity and was interested in writing books that might have the capacity to convert others. So, the Chronicles of Narnia series has been generally well received in the decades since its publication, and the books are considered classics of children's literature of Lewis. So the fifth one in the modern fantasy is we have the Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. So Peter Pan is a fictional character by the Scottish novelist and playwright by J.M. Barrie or Sir James Matthew Barrie. So Barrie may have based the character of Peter Pan on his older brother named David, who died in the ice skating accident by the day before his 14th birthday, and his mother and brother thought of him as a forever boy. So, Peter Pan first appeared as a character in Barrie's The Little White Bird in the year of 1902, a novel for adults, and Barrie later adapted and expanded by the 1904 play storyline as a novel, which was published in 1911 as Peter and Wendy. So this story about three children, Wendy, John, and Michael, who encounter a mystical boy named Peter Pan and his accompanying fairy named Tinkerbell. Peter comes to them as they are sleeping and tells them to come with him to a magical place called Neverland. So they agree and fly for days to reach this island. So Peter Pan, it is a boy who never grows up, takes the children Wendy, John, and Michael to a magical Neverland, where Wendy, however, become the mother of the lost boy, and in that island is a home to a magical and non-magical creatures. Most notably are the lost boys, the pirates, red skin, and also the mermaids that we can see in the Peter Pan or the character of that story. So the last one in modern fantasy is we have the Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling, or name Joanne Rowling, was born on July 31 in the year of 1965 and known by her name J.K. Rowling, and a British author and philanthropist. She wrote Harry Potter, a seven-volume fantasy series published from the 1997 to 2007. So the series has sold over 60 million copies and had been translated into 84 languages and spawned a global media franchise and including films and video games. So the Casual Vacancy of 2012 was her first novel for adults. She wrote Cormoran Strike, an ongoing crime fiction series under the alias Robert Galbraith, and Rowling was working a researcher and bilingual secretary for Amnesty International in 1990 when she conceived the idea for the Harry Potter series. So the 7-year period that followed saw the death of her mother, the birth of her first child, the divorce from her first husband, and the relative poverty until she first novel in the series Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was published in 1997. So the adoption of the first of J.K. Rowling popular children novels about Harry Potter, a boy who learns in his 11th birthday that he is orphan, son of two powerful wizards and possesses unique magical powers of his own. He is summoned from his life as an unwanted child to become a student at Hogwarts, an English and School of Wizard. There she met friends who became his closest allies and helped him discover the truth about his parents' mysterious death. So that's all the presentation, and I hope you enjoy and able to learn something, and thank you for watching.